Today, we're headed to our crafty friend Lisa's brand new apartment. She needs help designing her new bedroom. We're gonna go check out the space, do some shopping, and design a bunch of new pieces to create the perfect bedroom space for her. Let's go. Hey, Lisa.
Hey.
Okay, so I heard you've got a space that needs some help.
I do.
You knew I was coming.
Yep.
All right, let me see this bedroom so I know what we're working with.
Let's do it.
All right.
Here it is.
Okay, so it really is a blank space.
Yeah.
We've got some work to do. Okay, let me take a look around.
All right.
Let's talk about color, because we've got a lot of traditional colors. We've got white, we've got a dark gray, walls are tan.
Definitely needs a pop. I'm very minimalistic, but I like a pop of color, so like a green.
Okay, peacock-ish green.
Yeah, like peacock emerald.
Okay, I like that, because that invokes creativity.
Yay.
And I know you're a creative person.
Yep.
I'm gonna head back to the studio with the team.
Okay.
We're gonna do some shopping. We're gonna take some of these pieces with us. I know you've got a bunch of stuff in your storage room.
Yes.
All right, so we're gonna check that out. I'm gonna gather some things, and then
Okay.
the team and I are gonna brainstorm, and tomorrow we're gonna come back and design the space.
Awesome.
All right, let's do it.
All right.
For our first project, we are going to create an epoxy paint pour using the unicorn spit and the family wood glaze coat. You guys, this is going to turn out amazing. I just feel it, and it's gonna look awesome on Lisa's wall. Okay, so to get started, you always wanna make sure that you read the instructions that come in the glaze coat box, but it comes with two bottles, an A and a B. First, you wanna make sure that you're gonna pour even amounts of each. I've got two jars that are exactly the same, so I wanna make sure that I pour an even amount of A and an even amount of B in each jar. Once they're both poured, you want to take a separate container, and we're going to pour A into that container first. Next, we're going to take B and we're going to pour it into A. Mix it for 6 minutes. Let's set the timer. 6 minutes is up. Now I'm going to transfer this into a clean bowl and mix it for 6 more minutes. After I mixed up the epoxy the second time, I separated it into 4 different plastic cups. I want to make sure that I leave one that is just the plain clear epoxy, and then I'm going to add my unicorn spit, each color to each one of my cups. You want to start with a small amount of color first and mix it up, and then you can determine if you need to add more to get your desired color. When you're working with a big surface, it helps to have a friend. So Maria's going to help me with pouring. Each one of us are going to start in different areas of the canvas. I'm starting with the circle of the whitening, followed by the weathered daydream, and then the Navajo jewel. Continue to pour until you've covered the majority of the canvas. Put your canvas on a raised surface. So either put table risers or cups underneath because the acrylic will drip off. Once you've poured some, I suggest tilting the canvas so that your epoxy can kind of give you that marbled effect, and then go back and continue to pour. Keep tilting your canvas until it runs slightly over the edge. As the epoxy starts to drip over the edge, make sure that you take your popsicle stick and wipe away the drip marks. You may have to do this a few times, so make sure you keep an eye on your canvas for at least the first hour. Next is to either use a heat gun or an open flame and glide it across the surface to eliminate the air bubbles. Next up, while the epoxy is still wet, I'm going to add some gold flakes and then glass rocks. Last, I added glass rocks for the perfect finishing touch. We're going to let the epoxy dry overnight, and next we're going to work on another piece of furniture. So I'm going to be using unicorn spit on most of my projects, and for this one I'm going to use the whitening, which is one of my absolute faves. So you want to make sure that you shake it out first, and then I'm going to pour it in a cup. Now you can use this multiple ways. You can use it directly on the surface, you can also water it down, and you can use it as a glaze and a stain. I'm going to use it as is to just give a solid coat on my table. Once I have this solid coat on, I am going to add a stencil and then do another coat on top for a 3D effect. Once the first coat is completely dry, the next step is to add a stencil. So I used my cutting machine and adhesive vinyl to cut a custom stencil. Lisa said that she liked the green and peacock feathers, so I'm taking a hint of that and created my own peacock feather. I'm going to lay my adhesive stencil down on my surface. Now, when you're choosing a vinyl, make sure that you choose a removable vinyl if you are creating your own stencil. Next, I'm going to take my whitening again, shake it, and add some to the cup. And then I'm going to add a little bit of the weathered daydream so that I get a lighter gray color. I'm gonna use my brush to mix it in the cup. Once I've got my color mixed up, I'm gonna go ahead and just use my sponge brush and apply an even coat over the stencils. You don't want this coat to completely dry before you remove the stencil. So while it's still a tad bit tacky, start at the edge and peel up your stencil. Slowly, and you reveal the awesome design. How cool does that look? Once the tabletop is completely dry, we are going to pour on the Fama Wood glaze coat. We mixed up the batch already using the same method and instructions that we used when we did the canvas art. If you've got questions, refer to the enclosed instructions. Okay, so here's how we do it. We simply just pour. All right, now all that's left is we've got to wait for this tabletop to dry 24 hours. So tomorrow, you'll get to see the big reveal back at Lisa's room. The unicorn spit also works great as a stain. So for our antique chair and mirror, we were able to easily just apply a coat to the surface to add a pop of color with the Navajo jewel. It also works great on fabric, so we painted throw pillows and the lampshade. Yesterday was a busy day. The entire team worked all day between shopping, flipping furniture, and creating amazing pieces for Lisa's space. We got to the studio this morning, everything is dry and ready. It's time to head to Lisa's and start designing her bedroom. All right, I think it's time to get Lisa. I'm so excited for her to see the room. Let's go. All right, Lisa, step straight forward. Keep your eyes closed. All right, are you ready?
I am.
1, 2, 3.
Oh my God.
What do you think?
It looks amazing in here. What?
Okay, so we used unicorn spit and some amazing colors. We used that Navajo jewel, which is one of my favorites, to give you that green that you wanted to invoke creativity.
So pretty.
But check out, this is my favorite piece. So this is our unicorn spit mixed with epoxy. So we used the Fama Wood glaze coat, mixed it in with the unicorn spit and did a paint pour. Finished it off with glass rocks and gold flakes to give you some texture.
It's absolutely gorgeous.
It's one of my favorites that we've done. All right, let's kind of hop over to the bed area. So we
Okay.
did your nightstand. We took that lampshade that didn't really match with the vibe.
Yeah.
And we painted it with a Navajo jewel. Took
Okay.
one of the extra baskets you had in your storage room and just give it a pop of color block on the bottom. Added a plant to get you some oxygen. And if you notice, I took some of your photo books that I found to
Oh, wow.
add there. And then let's move over to when you get out of bed, we give you a little reading nook.
Oh, wow.
So a vintage chair that we found at the antique market, painted it with the Navajo green again, add that pop of color, threw a blanket over it, and then we took that old plain table that you had, finished it off, added a stencil to it. You said that you liked peacock feathers.
I do.
So we stenciled a feather on there and then topped it with the Fama Wood glaze coat so it's nice and sturdy for you.
It's so
You
pretty.
can get out of bed, read, relax. And then on the wall, I took those wine bottles that your dad got you and we
What?
mounted them on a board.
That's awesome.
I loved your dresser space. The dresser's beautiful, so I didn't want to do too much, but I found a mirror at the antique market and we painted the frame of it and then got a nice box to store your amazing perfume collection. So I think that space is really tied together.
Beautiful.
I think my work is done here.
You
What do you
guys-
think?
It looks amazing.
Awesome. Well, I'm so glad you like it.
Thank
Thanks so
you.
much for letting me spruce and sparkle your space.
Thank you.
All right, it's time for me to head out, and I think you need to enjoy your space.
Yeah.
All right, guys, till next time, we've got another fun project coming your way.